we feel so fortunate to be here with you all and be back in London after 10 years, I think it was the last time we were here. When we received this invitation to come here and share our Bible story with you all, first of all, I thought, what a wonderful gift this is from Baba to us. And I thought, well, this is first time I'll be visiting London, England, with no family here. 15 years I lived with my father and family, and then later on when our son lived here for 7-8 years, we would come and visit him. But then I said, no, I'm wrong. I mean, this is Baba's family. So, I'm going to
we're with the family.
We're with family here, yeah. So, as I say, it's as much as our fortune, good fortune to be here with you all. Now, where do we go? I always start by saying my claim to fame, so to speak, is when Baba arranged my marriage to Amrit. So that's the one real story I have to narrate to you, even though, of course, I spent the first 13 years of my life in Ahmednagar, my family home being Vilu Villa, which quite a few of you have stayed at in the old days, but never had too many opportunities to be around Baba as a child growing up there. The main reason being that in those days Baba was traveling quite a bit, so he wasn't available. But anyway, there are a few stories connected with my childhood times with Baba, which I could narrate later on. So, to start with, but again, I keep telling myself, I said, this is stories that these people have heard over and over again. I wish there was something else I could talk to them about, but I can't, this is, and then again, it comes to my mind that this is fast forwarding now. One of the days after our marriage took place in December '68, Amrit was fortunately staying at Mumbai, and I would come from Vilu's to visit. So one of the days we were there with Baba. After visiting him in his room, we came out, we meaning the men Mandi, my father and myself, we came out of Baba's room, and everybody just put on their sandals and took off for wherever they had to go, including my dad. And I, coming from England, was a British Saab in those days, so I had these lace-on shoes. So I was sitting there, tying my shoelaces, and dear Erich comes out, and he's the only one who waited for me. And while I was tying my shoelaces, he looks at me and he says, Dara, what just happened? You're married. One day you'll have to share this with the world. And I thought, this man is out of his mind. And, apart from sharing it with my children, who else would I share this with? But of course, Baba's got a different role. So, if you'll bear with me, and I will tell you the story of how Baba arranged our marriage. Otherwise, we might as well pack up and go home. We are the cheap economy package here. Non-refundable. Anyway, when I was 13 years old, way back in 1958, I came to live with my father and Franny and Shireen, who was just born. She was about a year old. In that house in Barnes, and then I spent the next 15 years there till we finally moved back to India. But during those years that when I was here, the first opportunity we had as a family to go back to India and visit Baba was in '64. It was '64 December, and we stayed there till '65 March, so almost 3 months. And Baba would invite us to visit him at Mirzad once or twice a week. And we'd go there. It was like going to visit family, at least it was for me, because Baba in those days was more of an uncle to me than God, and that's what I related to him as. And of course, Mani, my aunt, and Goer, Katie, they were related. So it was like a family visit. Mera was still not so available, so didn't get to see her much. But so we'd go there. As soon as we'd arrive, we'd be greeted, and then my Franny, my stepmother, and Shireen would be escorted to the ladies' side, and my dad and I would hang out there with the men Mandi till Baba was brought into Mandi Hall. And then, of course, we would go there and greet him. And after greeting Baba, I would sit on the ground there, and along with the rest of the men Mandi, or most of them. And for the best part, as I keep saying, I was just a spectator. I would just listen to what transpired. Once in a while, Baba would turn to me directly and say something. So on one such occasion, he turns to me and he says, Dara, don't worry, I've already chosen the right girl to be your wife.
I think he said perfect, but he doesn't believe it.
I'm getting the hang of it now, yes. But anyway, now I'm 20 years old by this time. And so I said, thank you, Baba. And I was there for another good 2 months. No further reference to who this right person might be. And sadly, after the visit, Baba sends me back to England. So I go back to my life there. By now, I'd finished with my limited education. I was working in an engineering factory in Richmond, and I went back to that life. And 3 years go by, still no mention from Baba as to who this person might be. So from time to time, my mind, of course, goes back to, wow, who she might be, what she might look like, and all that stuff. In any case, in September or October of '67, I finally get a cable from Baba asking me if I'm ready to get married. So I'm 23 now. So of course I cable back to Baba that whenever you want me to, Baba. So the next thing, Baba tells my father to come to visit him at Mirzad, December of that year, so December '67. And he gave my father instructions that before he was to come, to take me to a photo studio and get some enlarged photographs of me taken. So my father had to do that. Mug shots, as they call them. And armed with that, my father goes to Mirzad. In those days, I'd grown my hair long, a la Beatles style. Anyway, so these photographs my father had to take with him. And then the reason Baba called my father to visit him at that time, because my father had made other visits to Mirzad in between. We couldn't go, but my father went on a few occasions. But on this occasion, it was specifically to talk about the wedding arrangements. And my father didn't return back from his visit till after Baba's birthday, so this must have been March of '68. And that's when I first heard Amrit's name. I had never heard of her till then, and never, of course, known anything much about her family, but she was the girl that Baba had chosen for me. So my father came back telling me a little about Amrit, brought a little photograph of her to show me. Then I think now Amrit should fill in her side of the story, and I'll pick it up later on. Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's her turn now to earn her keep here.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you know, most of you must have read about my father's story. He's Kumar, Shatavan Kumar, who's was in prison, who asked for God's help. He was atheist, but he asked God's help to be out of prison. Then he was Atmasat. So anyway, I'm Kumar's daughter. My mother is Subhadra. And my family came to Baba before I was born, in new lifetime. So fortunately, you know, even though one doesn't remember, I was baby, but that's the time when Baba was there. And more fortunate than that my name Amrit was given to me by Meher and Mani. They asked Baba if they could name the baby because parents must have asked them. And that's how I got my name. And so, and then I don't remember, of course one doesn't remember, you're just born that time. But I remember in 54 when Baba came again, that 54 darshan, when this Parvatigar prayers were dictated and all everything. Anyway, and so I remember that 54 darshan. I was 4 years old, and lots of occasions were there when we met Baba, took prasad from him, or visited him, or he visited us and all. But somehow, till I heard from Baba when I was 17. Father used to come regularly to different Baba darshan, 62, 64, there's that, or he even traveled with Baba to South. You must have seen there's a guy wearing glasses holding Baba's umbrella, that's Kumar. In most of the films and many photos he's there. So, and even communication with Baba was only through parents. Father would write and we would receive, of course Baba didn't write anymore, but Erich will write letters to the family, and that's how, you know, like always was communicating, but nothing directly to us children. But in this occasion, when I was 17, I came back from school, and there is a nice big brown envelope, and it was addressed to me, care of my father, and so my father didn't open that, and it was from Meherazad and from Baba. So when I came home, my father gave it to me, this envelope. It was very surprising because we never directly ever received any communication from Meherazad, from Baba, or from his mandli. So it was kind of surprising. I had no idea what this envelope contains and what's that. So I took that, we at the house, and I went upstairs to my room, and I opened the envelope. And when I opened that mugshot of his, they were in that envelope, they fell out, and I said, good looking guy. And I put that aside, you know, to see what the letter is. And there's this nice couple of pages, nice big one, it was big envelope and 2 pages. And my language was Hindi. English I learned much later, actually after coming to England and all that. So it was half Hindi, half English, as we were studying a little bit in school but didn't speak. So the headline on the letter in capital words said, read this letter carefully. It was from Baba, handwritten by Erich. Read this letter carefully. Do not take as my order. I'm just asking you, would you marry my nephew, Dara, who's how old he is, where he lives in England, he's doing some job, about his job, about everything, about his mother died on his childbirth time when he was just an hour old or something like that. And everything you would like to know about, you know, he lives in England with his father, stepmother and sister. and about his eyes. So that time Dara could see, but like a 40-50% vision was already gone. So Baba did write about his eye condition, which calls retinitis pigmentosa. Baba said he's got a retinitis pigmentosa, and people do go blind. So he told, in early ages and things like that. So he even told me about Dara's eyes. He might be blind one day. And everything is school, everything was there. And at the end of the letter it said, and not only you, if you agree, your family has to agree along with you too. So I just read that letter once. The photos were kept aside, and I just felt, even though I was young, maybe those days 17 wasn't that young, I don't know what. So I just decided, so yes, Baba, I'll marry your nephew. So what I did, I had a bicycle and I went to post office because no phones, these things, so we had to send telegram. So I sent and Baba said, let me know by telegram. So I sent telegram to Avatar Meher Baba Trust Office and saying, yes, Baba, I will marry your nephew Dara. I don't know who Dara is except for seeing his photograph and reading about him. And I said, yes, Baba, I would marry your nephew Dara. And when I came back, and I didn't even take permission from my family because Baba said, do ask your family. So, and before leaving for post office, I left that envelope with everything, photos, papers, everything, and gave it to my father. So by the time I came back from the post office, the whole family is gathered, even other cousins and aunts and sisters, everybody's there, and my father is, where did you go? So I said, they thought I'd run off or something. So I went to post office and sent the telegram to Baba. What did you say? What did you say? I said, yes, I will marry your nephew. But my father was beaming. He was, he's completely, when Baba had asked to send his daughter's head, he would have, Baba would ask something like that. But mother, when she read the letter, when she was told, she said, oh, he might go blind one day, and he lives in foreign countries, and he's not from the same community, he's Irani and Russian, you're Hindu, Brahmin, and even though we were Baba lovers, but the parents, mother, the father was really, complete top of the world. His daughter said yes.
You should have listened to your mother.
Yeah, but then who would have tortured you? Yeah, so he was there, and then in a couple of days' time, received the telegram from Baba. I'm very happy with the answer, and I would like you and your father to come immediately. He gave us only 2 days to, get ready to go to Mehrabad, Meherzad, Ahmednagar. So my father and myself, we both started our journey. I still remember it was in September, around middle of September, like something like 18th, 19th or something like that. And those days, there was only one way you could go was trains, and trains used to take really long. You had to change trains many times. It would go via Bombay, and then from Bombay take another train and things like that. So it used to almost take 2.5, 3 days to reach Ahmednagar. So what happened, as soon as my father and myself boarded train in Dehradun, Dehradun is a beautiful place. It's foothills of Himalayas, and my hometown, so it's beautiful. So we started from Dehradun, and all of a sudden, you see, up till now, my father told us about Meher Baba, and we used to do prayers like we did today, front of Baba. So it was, we loved him, we stood there, but didn't seriously thought about, God, or if Meher Baba is the one, or, but we did whatever, family did, we did, all like a Christian family, Christian, and he might go to church or say, but, it's not like you start thinking about Jesus or some, the same thing was with me too. But all of a sudden, when I sat down on this train, the thought came, we were told Meher Baba is Avatar, he is the Dara of the age, he is God, he is dead, and so that thing all of a sudden, came in my mind, why I'm going, why I deserve or why I'm going to see God. I mean, why not my other sisters or other this thing? And is it true that I'm going to see God in a couple of days' time? Because last I saw a 4-year-old and that what didn't count. I mean, when you just saw like a movie star or somebody. And here, all of a sudden at 17, these thoughts started. And I became very quiet and, just started thinking about it and didn't think about why I'm going, like married to Dara. Or, it was just going to see Meher Baba. And I became very quiet, I couldn't eat and all this. So my father he said, what's the matter, you okay? You change your mind or something, that's why you upset? And I said, no, I couldn't explain what I was going through. Anyway, and as we're approaching, going closer and closer, that thing, what's the word for that? That excitement, anxiety and everything was growing more, which did not. And then the third day when we reached the Ahmednagar railway station, I was completely like in beige, I was not myself. And there, Baba's secretary, Adi and Dr. Duncan, they came to receive me and my father. We were taken to trust office to wash up and things like this, getting late evening, so we were hurried. And then around 6 o'clock we reached to Meherazad, and you can just imagine my condition. My God, I reached to Meherazad, I'm going to see Meher Baba now. And heart started pounding and and what funny thing happened, that time our men and ladies mandali was really big. So like today when you go to Meherazad, you arrive from the men's side of the men mandali side, and then you go to ladies side. Same, it was a little different, less buildings were there that time. So our car goes there, I get down, and I see Baidul, one of a very old Mandliya Baba who was with him from childhood. And I thought, that's Meher Baba. He really looked like Baba. So, and then I said, no, that's not Meher Baba, because you have been seeing his photographs and all that. But for that short while, the friction of there, just for a few seconds, then I looked there and there were Kakabaya was sitting there. I said, no, that's not Baba, that's Baba. They all look like Baba maybe because I was, or maybe they lived with Baba all their life, their ways were something like Baba, I don't know. And that moment, Arij comes smiling and he says, Amrit, come quickly, ladies are waiting for you. Kumar, you stay back here with the man only. And Amrit, go quickly, it's late and it's dinner time. So go to ladies' side. And now you could just imagine, going, knowing that Baba stays in that side of the property, that side of the building. I'm really shaking now this time. I'm just, so when I go close to there, I see Mehra, Mani, Naja, Goher, Meheru, Rano, all of them standing there with that Archimichu Nithali. Like a little steel, silver or something, we call it thali, like a plate. With so many little things in that, and like little coconuts and flowers and little candy or something. And so when they put a little this thing. And that made me, I'm already so weak and so this thing, the tears started coming. And then it should be what we heard, Meher Baba and his mandlis like God and these all, his disciples and things like I should be doing that to them, not them doing that to me. But they were welcoming me as going to be daughter-in-law to the family. So they always did that. It's a very typical Parsi Irani thing to do. And then they put little candy in your mouth, which is come with the sweetness in you, to the house. I think must be the meaning. Anyway, so we come inside near the veranda, that Mehra's veranda, and I just want to see where Baba is. Just want to go and and Mehra said, sorry, Amrit, it's late. You won't be able to see Baba till tomorrow morning. Could you just imagine, and I don't know what feeling, maybe I was happy that, or I don't know what feeling, I was completely numb there, understanding. And that moment, we were so close to Baba's room, I heard a clap, and I never knew that that's how Baba called. And so all the ladies who were standing me, they know when Baba calls, they have to leave whatever they're doing and go. So they were with me, so they left me, and they all went to Baba's room. And after a few minutes later, Mihra comes with this beautiful grin, says, guess what? Baba says you can come inside and you can visit Baba. Then I started shaking, and then on this thing, I'm going to see God. Then it was that thought in my mind. And so I was taken to Baba's room. So most of you been to Mihrazad, and you've seen there's Baba's bed is there, and most of the visitors come from the right hand side, there's a door. But I was taken from the left side, from Mihra's sitting room, from her parlor side, from there. And when I came from that side, Baba was something like dressed up like that, but much older. And I came from there, and what I saw somebody sitting on the bed, and like that, hunched, with a little ponytail there, wearing white sadra. And I stood there, and I'm looking for Meher Baba, and I don't know what I was expecting. He's standing there with a hair around him, or that big grin. I wasn't expecting sick old man, a man sitting on the bed. And it was, so I came there, and I just stopped there, like, where's Baba? Where's that avatar? And so that moment I see Baba's hand raising. He couldn't even turn like that. He raised his hand and asked me to come in front of him. And Mihra came with me, and I stood in front of Baba, and I looked at him. Still, he didn't look like God. He looked like just an old man, a sick old man, who was sitting on the bed and looking at me and asking me. In his gestures, Baba had a beautiful gesture which was very understandable, like, or somebody must be talking, which I didn't, but I understood, saying, long traveling, you must be tired, and, must be, like that. And so I'm just standing and weeping, just standing in front of him, weeping, and I wanted to leave the room. I didn't see any God in that room. I just saw this sick old man sitting on the bed and trying to talk to me, and somebody is explaining what he's saying. And then I was feeling very warm in that room, and sweaty and weepy and this thing, and then and that moment Baba lifted his both hands, and I had no idea when I went for that embrace. And that embrace was the thing, when Baba gave that embrace, I hugged him too, put my head on his shoulder, and I still remember that thin sadra, with my tears, was all wet here, and I could see his pink shimmery skin here on his shoulder. And that hug was what I was really looking for. There was that, it wasn't sick old man's hug, it was something like you've never been loved so much, you've never been so close to it. His hug was just unbelievable. You felt that love, pouring, and I know when I think of that, that's what happens to me too. And and couldn't have been more than a few seconds. And then he, with his both hands, like a strong person, he brings my body in front of him, and with a little frown on his head, he's trying to tell, that's what I guess, he's saying, you human being, you make me, I have to prove myself every time to you. I got that feeling that moment. And his touch, his everything, he looked so beautiful, like a baby all of a sudden. He was a sick old man. That smell there was thing, all of a sudden there was a cool breeze. Then everything changed just with that hug, with that, I'm so fortunate he gave me that moment, that little extra love to understand that God is only love. And then I stood, and he said, now you look tired, and just go have something to eat and go to sleep, and tomorrow morning we'll have early breakfast, and then we'll go to Mandli Hall and talk about the wedding.